Have you ever felt exhausted? And I don't mean the I just ran a marathon or I pulled an all-nighter kind of exhausted. I'm talking about a different, deeper kind of tired. A special kind of soul-deep weariness. It's the exhaustion that comes from constantly having to perform. The exhaustion of pretending you're okay when you're not. The exhaustion of pretending you have all the answers. The exhaustion of constantly needing to be the smartest person in the room. It's that draining feeling of having to jump into every debate on social media to correct someone who is clearly wrong about the plot of a movie. It's the pressure to prove your worth in every single meeting, to be the one with the zinger of an idea. It's that suffocating feeling when you know, with every fiber of your being, what the right answer is, but you can't speak up because you know it'll come across as arrogant. Or that sense of total powerlessness when you see a terrible decision about to be made and you know your advice will just be dismissed as you being an annoying know-it-all. If you've ever felt that, even for a second, then this video is for you. We live in a culture that worships intelligence. Being smart is the ultimate currency. But what if I told you that the path to real success, respect, and most importantly, peace, sometimes requires mastering a completely counterintuitive skill? The art of playing dumb. Sounds ridiculous, right? Like career suicide. My advice for getting ahead? Pretend you're an idiot. But stick with me here, because a grumpy old philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer was onto something profound. Let's break it down. You've definitely met this person. Let's call him Chad. Chad is the new guy at the office. He graduated top of his class, his resume's glowing, and honestly, the guy is genuinely brilliant. But in every meeting, he's the first one to interrupt the boss to say, actually, I think the logic here is flawed. He'll point at a colleague's presentation in front of everyone and announce, that data is 6 months old. My latest figures paint a very different picture. Intellectually, Chad is 100% correct. Emotionally, he is 100% dead wrong. He's so busy winning the logical battle that he doesn't realize he's losing the social war. He's smart, but nobody wants to be on a team with him. He wants to help, but he just ends up making everyone feel small. Or here's a more personal one. Picture a family dinner. An older dad is fumbling with his new smartphone, just trying to figure out how to attach a photo to a text message. His son, with the absolute best of intentions, swoops in, snatches the phone and says, "Oh my God, Dad, you're doing it all wrong. Here, let me." The son solves a problem in 30 seconds, but in those 30 seconds, he also accidentally stripped away his father's sense of autonomy. A little bit of dignity his dad might have spent all afternoon trying to build up by learning this new piece of tech. Intelligence, when it's wielded like a hammer at the wrong time, is no longer a gift. It becomes a weapon that hurts others and ultimately isolates you. So what does it actually mean to play dumb? And what kind of superpower does it unlock? Think of a leopard hunting. It doesn't charge into the savannah roaring, announcing its presence. No, it crouches low in the grass. It watches. It waits. It becomes almost invisible. And then at the one perfect moment, it strikes with decisive force. People who have mastered the art of playing dumb operate the same way. They aren't trying to be the loudest one in the room. They choose to appear humble, maybe even a little unremarkable, only to emerge as the hero when everyone least expects it. Picture a high-stakes negotiation. One side is doing all the talking. They're puffing out their chest, rambling on about all their advantages, making 1,000 demands. It's a storm of verbal diarrhea. The other person, the shrewd one, just sits there, quietly, nodding. They play dumb. They ask very simple, almost naive questions. I see, that makes sense. Could you tell me a little bit more about what your biggest challenge is right now? They let the other party talk themselves out, vent everything, unpack all their fears and desires onto the table. But are they just passively listening? No, they are a detective, silently collecting every clue, every piece of information, every hidden insecurity. And then finally, when the storm has passed, they make a single offer. Not the offer they originally wanted to make. They make the offer that solves every single problem the other person just revealed. Suddenly, it's not a negotiation anymore. It's a rescue. And rescuers are always welcome. That is the power of surprise. You don't have to be the first one to speak. You just have to be the one that delivers the final definitive word. So many of us are terrified of being silent. We think that if we don't contribute, people will think we're stupid or disengaged. But the truth is the exact opposite. The truly wise understand that silence is the ultimate tool for gathering information and quietly accumulating power. Think about it this way. Your mouth is a broadcast-only channel, but your ears are a high-speed download link. When you're speaking, you're only repeating what you already know. But when you're truly listening, you learn what you don't know. And you're not just hearing words, you're observing body language. You're sensing what's not being said. The boss's hidden fear, the client's real hesitation, the colleague's insecurity. You become an information sponge, soaking up everything, both gems and pebbles. Your brain then automatically starts filtering it all, and what's left is pure gold. A great manager isn't the one who gives the most speeches. It's the one who knows how to ask the right questions that make their employees feel safe enough to voice their own problems and solutions. A brilliant journalist doesn't get into shouting matches with politicians. They just play dumb. They ask naive questions like, "Could you explain that to me like I'm a fifth grader?" And in the process of oversimplifying, the logical flaws in the politician's argument expose themselves. Here's the difference. Fools speak because they feel they have to say something. The wise are silent because they are searching for something worth saying. Now we're getting to the black belt level of this art form. This is when you need to guide someone to the right decision, but you have to make them believe it was their idea all along. This isn't manipulation. This is the peak of emotional intelligence. It's the inception technique for real life. Let's go back to Chad's office. Say your boss comes up with a new marketing plan that you know is deeply flawed. The smart person would say, "That'll never work." The person who has mastered playing dumb executes a 3-step play. Step 1 is acknowledge and affirm. You start with, "Wow, boss, that's such an innovative idea. I really admire the out-of-the-box thinking here." This isn't sucking up. It's validating them as a person and making them feel respected. Their defenses go down. Step 2, play dumb. Now you introduce the problem, but you frame it as your own limitation. "I'm just trying to wrap my head around one part. Maybe I'm a little out of the loop. I heard that Platform Z is mostly used by Gen Z. I'm just wondering how that fits with our target customers who are 30 to 40. I probably got some outdated info I need to catch up on." You've turned an opposition into a humble question. You've positioned yourself as the student who needs their guidance. Step 3, offer to help. You finish with, "To help me understand better, how about I pull together some of the latest demographic data on these platforms? It might be useful for you to have for this important plan anyway." What happens? A week later, the boss announces, "After reviewing the data, I've decided we're going to pivot to platform Y instead. Good call on flagging that." The boss feels wise. You achieve your objective. No conflict ever occurred. That is invisible leadership. You don't need a title. You just need finesse. Have you ever seen a winner that everyone absolutely hated? These are the people who, the second they succeed, can't stop talking about it. They boast. They complain about how hard it was. They subtly put down the people they beat. As the gangster Frank Lucas famously said, "The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room." Their boasting is actually the desperate cry of an insecure ego. Now look at a true champion. A world-famous chef wins a prestigious award. He gets on stage and instead of talking about his genius talent, he spends his entire speech thanking the farmers who grew his vegetables, the fishermen who caught his fish, and even the dishwashers who kept his kitchen running. He understands his success is not his alone. And what happens? He doesn't just get admiration for his victory, he gets love for his character. Humility doesn't diminish your victory, it magnifies it. It transforms your individual success into a collective joy. It doesn't create losers on the other side, it creates companions on your journey. And that is the most brilliant, most lasting kind of success. So far, we've talked about playing dumb as a tactic, to gain respect, to win negotiations, to lead effectively. But there's a much deeper truth here. Here's the final twist. Ultimately, you don't practice this art for other people. You do it for yourself. You let the boss discover their own mistake, not just to keep your job, but to protect yourself from a pointless, energy-draining battle. You stay silent in a meeting, not just to gather information, but to protect your own mind from the chaos, giving it the space to observe and reflect. You don't point out every little error a loved one makes, not just to protect their feelings, but to protect your own precious relationship from being chipped away by 1,000 tiny criticisms. And most importantly, when nobody expects you to be the smartest person in the room, you are finally free. Free to ask the stupid questions that often uncover the real hidden problems. Free to experiment and fail without the crushing weight of judgment. Free to learn in silence without the constant pressure to perform. Playing dumb isn't about wearing a mask to deceive the world. It's about finally taking off the heavy, exhausting, I-know-it-all mask that we wear every single day to deceive ourselves. It's the quiet confidence you feel when you know your own worth, so you no longer feel the desperate need to prove it to anyone else. And when you reach that state,
When you realize that proving your intelligence is a pointless game, something magical happens. You stop wasting your life force on pointless arguments in the comment section. You stop feeling that sting of rejection when your opinion isn't heard in a meeting. You escape the exhausting hamster wheel of constantly trying to prove yourself, a race with no finish line. And all that energy you save from those pointless battles, you get to redirect it. You use it to create something beautiful, to love the people around you, to learn what truly matters, to build deep, genuine relationships instead of shallow ones based on admiration. Think about this. A shallow stream is always noisy. It babbles and crashes against every little stone, making endless noise to prove that it exists. But a deep river, it flows in silence. Its power doesn't come from the noise it makes, but from its immense internal current, quiet yet capable of sweeping away all obstacles and creating fertile land where things can grow. Those who master the art of playing dumb choose to be the deep river, not the shallow stream. So how do you start? You don't need to change your whole personality overnight, just try a few small experiments. In your next group meeting, challenge yourself to be the last person to speak. Just listen, take notes, see what you notice when you're not busy planning your own next brilliant comment. The next time you're scrolling and see someone say something outrageously wrong, take a deep breath, smile, and just keep scrolling. Feel the profound peace that comes from choosing not to fight a battle that isn't yours to fight. When a loved one is doing something in their own less than optimal way and it's not life-threatening, just let them. Watch the pride and autonomy on their face. You realize it's far more valuable than a few seconds of efficiency. Because ultimately, the goal of life isn't to prove that you're right. The goal is to live peacefully, meaningfully, and happily. The art of playing dumb isn't a tactic to win against others. It's a life philosophy to win the war against the arrogant, loud, and perpetually insecure ego within yourself. And when you win that most important battle, you realize something profound. You don't need to win any of the others.